Hello, welcome to the Erik Williamson Show, where we review the best books and courses in self-help and investing. This is episode number 25. Uh, the, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial, legal, or tax advice or services. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Always do your own research. Consult with a licensed financial tax professional or legal professional before making any decisions. And before we dive in, if you're enjoying the show, please rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps more people find the show. I'm very excited. I have a guest speaker, Neil. And how do I pronounce your last name?
Twa.
Twa. Okay,
There you
I got
go.
figured out. But yeah, he's an author of a book. He's an investor in e-commerce brands, entrepreneur, speaker, and author of the host of the top 5% globally ranked podcast. And he's also the CEO and co-founder of Voltage Holdings. So, Neil, what I always love asking entrepreneurs, how did you get started in your journey in the entrepreneur? Because I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18 years old. I started in network marketing and other things, but how'd you start? I'm always curious how entrepreneurs start out.
I think I sort of always had a tendency to want to do something on my own since I was like 12 and my dad worked, blue collar guy, real hard working guy, absolutely. And we made enough to, eat and be okay. And the first house we got was on his GI Bill and stuff. And he provided, but there was enough to provide, but there wasn't enough for things you might want or extra things you might, think you need or want to do. And so I kind of just learned to hustle around, do some things, made some lawn mowing money, and then was working some jobs and stuff when I was 15, 16. One of them was waiting. And I was always just kind of like, hey, I know I can do more. I want to go faster. It's so fast that I wanted to become a fighter pilot. That's what I really wanted to do after I got out of high school. It turns out, I'm too tall for the cockpit, so I got rejected from the program. So they're like, sorry, you can't fly, jets. And I'm like, well, dang it. So I backtracked and went to college on a music scholarship, and that turned out to be a failure. So the internet came online and saved me from that nonsense. And so that was just changing and pivoting to something I wanted to do. And I just didn't say no to a lot of things. I said yes to a lot of things that maybe I should or shouldn't have done, that gave me those opportunities. And so as I just kept doing that, I eventually got into jobs in the corporate world for a while because that's where the money was. That's kind of where I was following the money to learn about the internet, online e-commerce business, money making, all of this stuff. And not many people really knew how to do a whole lot of it, quite honestly, hence the dot-com bubble, right? And so as I went through that period and the mobile and marketing kicked up on things, I got into Sprint when they were launching mobile phones and had a fun ride as that company went through the hyper growth phase of mobile and got to be on the inside of that business until it reached 80,000 employees. I was think the 5,000th or so person that was hired into that company, and it was growing exponentially. I got hired out by IBM to do more of that, go play in the tech, big tech, help with knowledge management and systems of information and learning models and artificial intelligence, and got to play at the Watson Superblue computer and Armonk and have all kinds of really cool learning lessons. But it was never because I wanted to be in the corporate world forever and career myself and retire and be this management consultant. It was because that's the next step. So when I learned all of that stuff and was like, well, do I become a partner? Do I do something else? I was side hustling a game server company. They had a 20,000 people on game servers in Texas, and that was something I thought I would eventually, start doing full time. Got divorced. That whole thing crashed. Pivot again. IBM is like, hey, we're moving your job to Argentina, or you can retire and take early retirement. So I'm like, hey, let's go with that, early retirement. And so I just started I'm going to say haphazard. It is sort of haphazard as I just said all that. And I'm listening to myself out loud going, it just seemed like I never had any purpose or drive. But in actuality, I always wanted to do my own thing. I was just pivoting around everything else to get there and the challenges and the issues that went along with all that we kind of all face. But I'm just a guy who like to go fast, say no, learn the hard lessons, and just figure it out along the way. And got married the same year I left IBM, started my business. My wife and I got pregnant that year. She had to go on bed rest, so we had no income after the first year. We were dual income, no kids. All of a sudden, we were no income and all kids. And so it was just this push to keep going. And I started additional companies and went into management consulting and just kept figuring out what I was good at, what I was better at, and I kind of started to figure out the things that I could do to not just make money, but I enjoyed and had fun and could live with my family, with my kids, with my wife. We had the four daughters I have now. in less than 5 years. And so I wanted to be a part of their life. And so I was like, well, how do I just keep staying involved in their life every day, every week, every month? I don't want to travel. I don't want to stay away from them. I want to be involved with them as much as I can. And I just kept looking for that way to stay involved. And up pops mobile marketing before it was really a thing. And we were uploading spreadsheets into mobile phones and selling affiliate marketing applications all over the world. And that took off really fast. And I'm like, hey, I could actually do that for a business. And I started to do it more. And, I got into some really good money. And then, you get to be a little stupid at times in life. Let's just say that. We make bad decisions. We don't see what we don't see. We don't see sometimes what we maybe perceive as opportunity, but we don't really see what it is because we're kind of blinded, And I jokingly say that founders and entrepreneurs need a blind optimism, really, to be successful in anything. They just need the idea that they're going to do it no matter what. And as we get going through that, sometimes we look back and go, well, that was much harder than it should have been. I probably could have done this differently. And I ran into a company where that occurred. And then the outcome of too much money, too much time, too much, not seeing things for what they were, I ended up having to go bankrupt to deal with that problem. So that was an interesting learning lesson. And I pivoted out of that back to the mobile and online marketing and realized I was actually doing much better at what I should have been doing in that core focus. And I snapped on physical products. So the digital component now tied to a physical product because I really thought, I needed something tangible to control in the entire business. I didn't control, beyond the marketing click, what was happening to the businesses that were using the product and services I was marketing. And I'm like, well, I need to control the other half of that. So I thought, let me create brands and products. And so I started a little course I took in 2012, and that sucked because they didn't really do a whole lot with it that I didn't already know, but I met a really cool guy named Reed Larson, and we hit it off really fast and furious and said, hey, let's start launching some products together and see what happens. That product launching led to brands. Brands were really where this whole thing turns into a real business. And by 2015, we had our first seven-figure brand. We've launched now 12 more since then. We have another 12 under our full management and control, anything from startup to mid-level to 14 million a year in sales that we now control and manage, all in the physical private label branding world of products, which I kind of found my home in. That's kind of where I found my home for the last 12 years. Love it to death. Love the creativity and the flexibility, the online marketing, the different systems we play in, and just creating something that the market appreciates, people love, and they want to buy more of. That's kind of a, my hunter kill, pivot mentality really works well within the e-commerce framework. And it's created a lifestyle that I could sit here in my home office, hang out with my girls, be on my farm, and just enjoy life and have fun with what I'm doing. It was a long story. Sorry. That was
Yeah, no,
really
that's,
long.
that's a great story. So my question for you is, and a lot of people have this question, is there still opportunity in e-commerce?
Yeah, opportunities changed. It's not
Around-
really in the flip your way to wealth kind of thing like it was maybe 12, 15 years ago. The opportunity barrier has increased, therefore the opportunity cost has changed, meaning that, most people can't just launch a business at this point and turn it into a very big concern without the right time, energy, attention, or money. That means that enough people have been online, enough systems have been built, enough AI transition systems are happening, enough marketplaces have matured in the last 10 years, so much so that it can be very difficult to get going in a brand these days. It seems like it's relatively simple, but what you're missing, and most people are missing, are the cores of why a brand should be there, why the product choices are being driven now by data, not emotions or brand emotions to the customers, why we actually sell product data to AI engines now, and it sells products to the customers. It's very different than a lot of people think we do product and brands these days. They think we're Elon Musk, and if you build it, they come, and we just need this super great idea, and the whole world will want our product if we have this super awesome idea. And in actuality, all products are driven by data now, and all data is incorporated into these systems, and all of these systems know exactly what audience to match with that product and information. And we just need to be able to know exactly what they're doing with that so we can reach the right customers. So with that little bit of change in knowledge and opportunity, the playground for the products has changed too, because a lot of new sellers have come online. China has come in pretty hard into the United States since 2019, making it difficult for US-based sellers to overtake certain market shares. And that's forced us into product price points of $50 to $300 to $500 in retail price point, which means the opportunity is great at the brand level and profitability, but the startup capital takes a little more time, a little more energy, a little bit more protectionary measures with IP and trademarks and things you have to do now to really protect yourself. And then how do you create that unique selling position or innovation in that product has to kind of change within the market today. For those of us who have been in it for a long time, it's actually gotten a little easier. For newer people, it's a little bit more complicated, is the simple way of saying that. Is the opportunity still there? 100%. In fact, with something that just occurred this week on one major platform, Amazon, and I like to talk about all of them, just so we're clear. Amazon is a big one, but Chinese sellers have now got to report to the Chinese taxation office what they're actually making money-wise. And to this point, they haven't been reporting that information, and America hasn't been holding them accountable. So they flooded the market, taking over like 60% of the online sales markets across multiple channels, including Amazon. Without that reporting, they've been able to do certain things that I can't do as a business owner. I'll get in trouble. And with the removal of that guardrail now from our country, it created a lot of problems. But putting that guardrail on in China is now a huge opportunity that most people don't recognize is actually going to create a huge market potential for US-based sellers that wasn't there since 2013. Products and system and data is so much better now. I can tell you exactly what the customer needs are for which products on Amazon and which ones are the highest demand, highest profitability. So we only go after products we know have the right market share opportunity, the right profit, the right upside. So those are just like things that have created a little bit of complexity in the selling of products online, but also new opportunities are expanding that are going to be greater than I've seen in a long time to move into the physical product space. So we're deploying a lot of brands and capital right now into the markets, knowing these things are about to slingshot. Through 2026, there's going to be a very tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. What you were saying. So there's still an opportunity for people out there.
Yes,
A
we have
lot
to
of
change
people
the way we approach it.
a lot of people are being laid off lately, so they need to find something to do to generate income to support their families. So my question to you is, what's the capital requirement to get started? I know back then it wasn't that much.
Well,
So,
a lot of people still think you can start a physical product with $5,000, and the truth is you can. What you're going to run into trouble with is not the startup or even finding the original product. It's that a lot of people tend to not understand what the heck to sell. And so they will typically use certain tool sets and data sets out there today that will lead them all roughly to the same $15 to $25 products that are in this retail price point. And they end up in what I call Amazon's mosh pit, all competing over small market share and small profits. So if you're listening to this today, what you need to realize is that the product profitability, your net profit, which you actually keep per unit, is the most important factor of any product you will launch today. Okay. I don't want anybody listening to this to launch a product less than $12 in net profit per unit. After costs, referral fees, marketing, infrastructure, paying yourself, paying other people, paying for the manufacturing of the product and all the things that go into your cost of goods, you need a product that will sustain market changes, right? And that's actually matched by the market itself. Amazon, for example, has an average order value now of $69. Okay. So we want to match what the market's actually buying in volume, right? It's $69 product. So we need to sell something $50 to $100, which means when you go to take that, idea that I can do it for $5,000, which is a lot of hopium guru online marketers, you have to realize that that $5,000 is going to disappear really fast. You need to pay for
oh yeah,
trademarks. You need to pay for your IP. You've got to pay for the products. You need to have money for marketing. You might need a coach or somebody to help you guide that, or just take that and start by yourself. You're going to have a little longer time and it's going to cost you a little more, but I always encourage everybody to try to figure this out, right? But really to go to market hard now, to compete with brands that are been maturing, sellers that have been in the marketplace for 10 or 12 years, you have to consider what the real opportunity cost is to not deploying the right time, energy, attention, and money, or the right team effort. So when people work with us or want to work with us and want to go to the market in the first 12 months, if they truly want to compete to a seven-figure business in 5 years or less, they're going to need to deploy 50 to 100K in year one. Okay. From branding to marketing to products to multiple products within your brand that define how the brand value and creation goes to the market. So we won't launch anything less than 5 product tests. Okay. With those 5 product tests, I have enough data, enough numbers to help me understand where my brand is in the market and which particular products are going to expand that brand out. Because it is very important that you hear me when I say this. Products have a life cycle and brands can live on forever. So the first thing people need to get about what I said in terms of capital deployment is you're building a brand. You're not building a product with that. You understand the difference when I say it that way? We're building a
yeah.
brand. So I'm going to launch whatever amount of products it takes for me to discover what the market is willing to buy from my brand for the next 50 years. Because brands can live forever. Some brands live on for a long time and all their products will change eventually in time. Apple's been around for a long time. It's about to become one of the first trillion-dollar companies, or just did, if I'm not mistaken. Tesla has been growing extremely fast in a whole product line of things. And when we go down to the micro level of small SMB companies or startups and aspiring entrepreneurs, if I'm going to compete with brands and products, I need to realize that it is a variety of products within my brand that is going to wrap that entire brand up for the long haul, and then figure out which products the market really wants to buy more from, okay, from my brand, and do it profitably. So I know how to market it. I know how to put additional product in the marketplace and keep feeding that machine whatever money it's going to take to turn it into a seven-figure, eight-figure product business. Okay, so we want to look at it from the brand perspective, not the product perspective. We want to look at it from selling data to AI engines, not selling products to customers. It's such a backwards way of thinking. In the last 3 years and 4 years, this has changed dramatically. But we literally now broker data to AI systems, and we fulfill the sale of that product through those engines with an actual physical product. That's kind of what's changed, right? So we got to
Totally.
create a great product, but that's not really the end all be all, is it? Because products have a life cycle, right? They will go for a certain amount of time. They will have a certain amount of volume and sales over time, but I'm going to keep moving more product inside of that brand until the brand becomes what people expect across a multitude of product types that brand supports, so they fall in love with the brand and want to share the brand with other people, no matter which product it actually is.
That's amazing. And I'd like to ask another question too.
Sure.
I have a lot of people that ask me when I used to sell on Amazon a long time ago, is where do you find the product?
In
So
terms of how you discover the data or the,
for physical, and
yep.
sometimes digital, because sometimes digital you sell other people's digital products, not ones you create.
Yeah, like a book or something. And we're selling
Yeah.
the physical product, a tangible product, an ice cream maker, linen bed sheets, and coffee equipment, and pizza makers, and a whole myriad of product types that fulfill a use case for the end consumer. Something they wanted to build, grow, go eat better, eat less, eat more, jump higher, whatever their particular use case is for that product. That product is fulfilling that need. I'm just trying to determine which need is most in demand by these AI engines that's being fed out of this, already existing demand that I want to capture market share in. And I just want to get my product in the fight, right? And that means I need a good product, and it has to be a good product. I don't want it to be a product that fails. It can't be a me too product and taste like everybody else's. It has to have a slight innovation, not an invention, okay, but an innovation that makes it a little different. And I have to be able to take it to a market that already exists and wants that product. I'll give you a perfect example. We have a product called a Blizzy. Okay. You can go look this up on Amazon. Blizzee. It's an ice cream maker. It is shot through the roof in the first 30 days we launched it, and that was just 40, I'm looking at the calendar, about 50 days ago. All right. So we're just into our second month of selling. First month, we went to close to 90,000 in sales in the first month. Okay. It's a machine that has innovation against a market competitor called a Ninja Creamy, and the creamy takes 24 hours to freeze before you can make the ice cream. Well, our innovation was have an ice cream machine that makes it in 30 minutes or less. So we built a machine. The machine basically you pour the stuff in the back, and in less than 30 minutes you pull the handle, and out comes your favorite soft serve ice cream: coconut, regular, dairy, protein, or alternative. And people love it. It's going and flying off the roof. It triggered an algorithmic response to Amazon in which they sent us a growth team and a brand referral marketing engine guy inside of their platform who's like, we want to help you grow the crap out of this. How much inventory have you got? And we want to see if we can blow this thing up in 2026. So it got on their radar now. So we're working with them directly to now push this private label farther out inside of Amazon. There's 36 million people who search for ice cream. There is a Ninja who has a huge amount of product share and market share, but they don't really have a very strong second competitor. Well, we're going to move into the market as fast and hard as we can to become a Ninja competitor by providing innovations against their products. I have a second one coming out right now. It's an air fryer that innovates their top selling product on a couple of differentiations that the market has asked for, that I know the AI is asking people about in this tool called Rufus inside of Amazon's system, and they don't have one. So we're going to be launching one in about 4 weeks. So the market is there, the demand is there. I have to make sure the profitability is there. And I simply go to the market and say, hey, I've got one of these. You love this one. What about mine? It has this cool little innovation. You can have ice cream in 30 minutes or less. What about that? And people are like, yay. So that product brand has taken off. And we just replicate that process across multiple brands, right? High demand, high customer need, high profitability. And we put a marketable product in there, and we find out if the demand will take our product. If it takes our product, we order a heck of a lot more of it.
And then the other question that people have asked me too is how fast can you get profitable in this line of business? Like,
You
because some
could be,
businesses take like a year or two. In the first year, you don't make any money.
yeah, and as a
But
guy who has Amazon experience, you're speaking the truth. Okay. What I want people to see things is in a 3-year window. Okay. Both as any business startup of time, you need the time it takes to become successful. Okay. A lot of people want to restrict that. I need you to stop thinking about time and scarcity. And I need you to think about at least 3 years in minimum abundance. Okay. For any business, especially on the e-com side. I also need you to remember that brand building is a timeless opportunity when done correctly, right? If you build brands correctly, they can live on a long time. All right. And so for the first year to 2 to 3, there are not only the launch, startup, and market share penetration activities we have to do to drive revenue, but hopefully drive us into profit. It just depends upon which part of the business we're turning over a 90-day cash flow plan by when that will occur. That is, of course, the goal. And when it will occur is when we know that the product is obviously moving at a certain velocity and profitability that allows us to keep, the compounding amount of capital and inventory we're putting into it so that each quarter we see us growing, growing, growing until we see a year, a 1 year, 12-month growth rate that we can start measuring against. And that's the first year it's in the market. Now, the second year is where you can see really good growth when your brand and market share start to penetrate farther. Your reviews come in. You may open secondary channels like Shopify or TikTok to create, more demand, create more awareness for your product. And then usually by year 3, the market share penetration can get between 20 to 40% in the marketplace. And now you have the potential in years 3 through 5 for real growth and scale. Okay. So a lot of people want to say 3 to 5 minutes or 3 to 5 months, but it really is any true business building experience is a 3 to 5 year experience minimum. Okay. The systems, the systems play a role in that too. I'm not just telling you what you have to do or what should be done. I'm actually saying the systems online that have market share in them, like TikTok and Google Shopping and Amazon and Target Plus and Walmart, they have existing market share you have to penetrate. It just doesn't happen overnight. But as you roll that mechanism forward, I've seen profitability in our pre-product launches, like the Blizzy that we just did, and I've seen profitability take 6 to 12 months. Okay. And really, it's a matter of, do I see the sales and revenue moving me into a position where market share, product reception, and brand reception are moving me towards that profitable point? Is Amazon system, for example, showing me to more people and growing my market share in year 1 so I can see the opportunity to gain more market share in year 2? Because their literal systems tell us, and their reps have told us, that we could gain up to 5% market share in year 1, but the system itself will allow us up to 20% market share in year 3 and 40% market share in year 4. It could even be as soon as year 3. So when I know that, it means I need to go into the market and be willing to take a 2 to 3 year fight so that I can have an opportunity to live like nobody else can with that brand. Because then the profitability grows, the upside grows, the momentum of the brand grows, and now you're doing less marketing and pushing, and you're doing more management, analytics, inventory flowing, and management of 90-day cash flow plans. And you're dealing with how do I grow and capitalize these product lines, and doing a lot less about does the market want it, will they buy my product, and a lot more of how do I capitalize this thing to go faster and faster and faster. Very different kinds of problems can shift in that momentum. And it can happen in the first year, but it's usually years 2 and 3.
yeah, and that's really important you say the time because a lot of people have a fast food mentality towards business. They want it to work overnight. They want it to pay all their bills. They want to pay the
Well,
mortgage.
I love that idea, and it's a wonderful idea. And if that's a need that you have, like I've had in the past, okay, then
Yeah,
flipping some products to get started is your best bet, okay? Taking product and arbitraging it. Amazon is not a great place to do that anymore. They really shun it, they stop it, they shut you down very fast. Arbitrage, flipping, wholesaling, shop your way to wealth kind of stuff is better done on platforms like eBay and Facebook Marketplace. If you need to make a little side hustle of a couple grand a month, then those are probably the best places to do that, right? And I've had that need before. There's no shame in the game. But if you want to really look at a product and business that has a time and generational opportunity, you've got to consider building a real business, treating it like a real business, not a side hustle, not a hobby business, but a real business that looks at trademark, IP, brand building, growth, product lines, and the capitalization requirements. If you do that, like Daniel did, who had a similar situation that you're referring to with a need to get things going, in 2000, he started his brand with us. He's now selling his brand in 2025 for 29 million, right?
Oh,
So when things go, and he, to be clear, capitalized $1 million credit line over that 5 years to allow that to occur. That was the opportunity cost to make that brand turn into something really large. He was willing to risk something that others are not willing to do. It's not that anyone couldn't do that. It's just some people's risk to reward ratio. Some people have more scarcity in their thoughts. Some people have sooner needs than others to feed family, do things, and keep the lights on and pay their grocery bills. But if some of these things are not met by you, if you are a more high income earner, if you are wanting to, get out of business in the next 15, 20 years, don't want to be a W-2 and working in a soulless corporate gig like I was a long time ago, and you really want to look and say, okay, I want to build something for 3 to 5 years. That's not a big deal. I can deploy the capital. I'm not as risk adverse. I want the support. I could see this being an opportunity. Then this is a kind of business model where the opportunity is probably greater than it ever has been. I believe it. I'm in the ground. So I'm working it every day and week and month, and the businesses we're growing and we're capitalizing as fast as we can because there are so many people falling down in the market that we're picking up all the sales and momentum of the ones that are falling out of the market. And I know there's
exactly.
that big T word that may get you flagged if this goes on YouTube. It starts with a T and ends with riff. But there's that thought process that is actually hindering market. In some areas, it is. In other market segments, it is an opportunity. Stronger in business, better cash flow, less knee-jerk reactions, and more ability to wait out the storm a little bit are now taking on opportunities where others are falling out of the market very fast. And with them falling out of the market because they can't make decisions on cash flow or they're running at too thin of a margin and they can't overcome the changes in the tariffs, the stronger businesses are surviving. Let's just put it like that. The weaker businesses in their cash flow management and support who don't have the knowledge and fundamentals of business to run are falling out of the market. This is an opportunity that's creating great need for the right intelligence and information, the right support mechanisms to ensure you get off the ground correctly and take advantage of this opportunity. But is it for everybody? I think you probably are hearing me say the word no, right? And I mean that with all loving and kindness to anybody that's listening to this. It's not for everybody. It is a business. It is an opportunity. It comes with its challenges. It comes with its risk and rewards. It comes with the need to understand the abundance of traffic and business and opportunity that is all around us, even if right now it doesn't feel like it's near us. It is all around us. We see it every day in earnings reports and, Tesla giving Elon his $1 trillion package. We see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. We know we just aren't near it right now. And that's how money works. It's closer to you some days, it's farther away from you other days. What I don't want people to do when they hear me today is think about chasing the dollar because that will ultimately lead to failure. If you're only chasing profits and you don't have a purpose and value as to why you would get into business, you will give up. If your long-term goals are beyond profit, then you will sustain whatever it is that happens in order to get you to that success. My own story of 18 years of doing this is truth in this, okay? If I had given up a long time ago, I wouldn't be sitting here. Okay. And there are plenty of
Yeah.
times where a lot of people could have given up or would have said, I should have given up. And actually, they did tell me you should give up. And I didn't listen.
She had a dog mentality toward your ambition and dreams that
Yeah, blind optimism, literal blind optimism. Call it the founder syndrome. I know a bunch of friends who have this kind of thing. And it really gets down to that once we're set in and we're hunter killers and we have to keep moving and we love to build and grow and keep challenging and being challenged, that we live on. That's our air we breathe. And if it doesn't feel right to you, if it feels too risky, you got to be careful with doing something that you don't feel comfortable with. If you're interested and you want to become somebody like that, I would encourage you to partner or coach or get a mentor and figure out what it takes to become that person because that's your opportunity. I've taught 19-year-old high school dropouts and people like Daniel and everybody in between how to do this of all walks of life, careers, backgrounds, etc. Why did some succeed and why did some fail? It's the age-old conundrum. Some people want to look for reasons to fail, and other people know they're going to be failing in the process, but look for ways to win. Is that
exactly,
it?
exactly.
It's a success mindset, really. Because you could be real estate successful, you can go sell cars and be the best car salesman. You could go, go into to become the best realtor in the world. You can become the best financial options trader. You could become the best e-commerce builder. You just literally have to be the one who realizes that you can do it and will not give up until you become it. Tenacity, perseverance, right? A can-do attitude. You don't say no, you say K-N-O-W. I don't know right now, but I'm going to figure it out. Those are my most successful friends and people who worked with us. And that's my own story. I just don't take no for an answer.
That's awesome. And your book, you've been so gracious to give 10 of our listeners a free copy of your book, which I'll put my email in the show notes so you can email me and I can give that code, the discount code.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got a code for you down in the notes, guys, that you can check out to get 10 free copies of the book. And I would encourage anybody who's, sincere or serious about looking into the business model of e-com, to check it out. It's a strategy book. It is not a tactical guideline for how to push buttons on a computer, just so we're very clear. People want to confuse that. That's not what this is about, okay? And the code is Erik Williamson, Erik Williamson. It'll be down there, and you can get 10 free copies. I will warn for those who are wondering, yes, you have to put a credit card in, but it does not charge you. That is to keep scammers off my system and people who just want to download stuff for free and don't use it. You won't be charged, though. But it is a 15 chapter strategy book. It goes through each of the different types of things we will learn as a business, the fundamentals, profit and loss, what it actually means to capitalize and research. There's tools and case studies and things you can get through that book. My good friend Kevin Harrington, who sold more than $6 billion in products, wrote the foreword for it. He was the original Shark from the Shark's Tank series, and also the As Seen on TV guy, and helped Cellulose go to market and a number of brands. He's very, very good at this and has really coached my mind beyond the things. Just watching him and being a part of what he does has been fantastic. And so just take a look at it. No harm, no foul. If you have any more information you want to know about it, then the book will tell you where to go.
Yeah, thank you so much,
My pleasure.
guys, for listening to the Erik Williamson Show. You found the value in today's episode. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast app. Also, Neil, where can they find you?
Yeah, right. So the book is on Amazon, or you can go to my website, voltagedm.com, voltagedigitalmarketing.com, /free book if you want to get the Erik Williamson code to throw in there and grab a copy. And then there's resources, information, there's a paperback, there's a workshop, there is part of my suite of tools we use called our Greenlight system powered by Cayman Data Intelligence, which is our AI analytical discovery, build, and optimize engine for a platform of building a product from discovery all the way through growth that you guys can check out. All that information, including my podcast. We're just released our 200th episode of the High Voltage Business Builders podcast, which you can also check out on all the local stations, Apple, Spotify, and everywhere else, including YouTube and social media. So my last name's Twa. Can't miss me.
All right, and just let me throw out the disclaimer in the one the show. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial, legal, or tax advice services. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Always do your consult with a licensed financial professional, tax legal professional before making any decision. Well, this is the Erik Williamson Show. Neil, thank you so much for coming on. It's really nice of you to reach out to me. Blast on this podcast. I know I'll be listening to this again. My
Awesome.
family is actually super excited. My parents, they can't wait to listen to the episode because I told them a little bit about you. So
Right on. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
actually, my dad wanted to jump on the episode.
Did he? Oh, dang it. We should have brought him on here. Hi,
Yeah,
Dad.
he's actually a cool guy too. He's a successful realtor too.
Right on. I have a lot of real estate friends. They understand the virtual real estate concept of a physical product online with a tangible physical product, like they work in the real estate inventory world. So I actually have a lot of friends in real estate that work with us.
Yeah, my family is entrepreneurial, so am I.
Right on.
But thank you so much.
Yes,
And
sir.
like the biggest thing you said, which I'm gonna take a note, is never quit on your dream. No matter
Never
what
quit.
people say, just never quit because you never know. One day you will be successful, and that's actually in the book. They Can Go Rich, Persistence.
There you go.
There's actually a chapter in the book, so read that book. You learn
We can go
persistence.
rich. There you go.
With that, let me see.